Messenger is a message bus, and it turns out that a message is a pretty generic term in computer science. In fact, there are three types of messages that you'll commonly hear about. The first type of message is a command, and that is the type we've been creating so far. We create message classes that sound like a command. Add Ponka to image, or delete image post, and whose handlers do some action. When you create message classes and handlers that look like this, you're using Messenger as a command bus. And one of the sort of rules of commands is that each command should have exactly one handler. That's the command design pattern. The second type of message is an event. If you create an event class and pass it to Messenger, then you're using Messenger as an event bus. The difference between what a command class looks like and what an event class looks like is subtle. It comes down to naming conventions and what you're ultimately trying to accomplish. An event is dispatched after something happens and can have 0 to many handlers. Don't worry, we'll see what this looks like soon. The third type of message is a query, and we'll talk about those later. For now, let's focus on understanding events and how they're different from commands, because it can be super confusing. And Messenger, being a generic message bus, works perfectly with either. Before we create our first event, I'll close a few things and then open config packages messenger.yaml. If our app leverages both commands and events, it's totally okay to use just one bus to handle all of that. But in the interest of making our life a bit more difficult and learning more, let's continue to use our existing bus only as a command bus and create a new bus to only use with events. To do that, under the buses key, add a new one called, how about, event.bus. Set this to tilde, which is null, just because we don't have any other configuration that we need to put here yet. This will cause a new message bus service to be added to the container. So far, whenever we needed the message bus, like in image post controller, we auto-wired it by using the message bus interface type hint. The question now is, how can we get access to the new message bus service? Find your terminal and run bin console debug autowiring. Which explodes. My bad. Invalid configuration for path framework.messenger. You must specify default_bus. Copy the name of the default bus. Once you define more than one bus, you need a default_bus key set to your main bus. This tells Symfony which message bus service to pass us when we use the message bus interface type hint. Try the debug autowiring command again and search for mess. Now we have two entries. This tells me that if we use the message bus interface type hint, we'll get the messenger.bus.default service. Ignore the debug.traced part. That's just Symfony adding some debug tools. But now, if you use the message bus interface type hint and you name the argument event bus, it will pass you the new event bus service. This is a new feature in Symfony 4.2, where you can auto-wire things by a combination of the type hint and argument name. Symfony took the name of our bus, event.bus, and made it possible to use the event bus argument name. Great! We now know how to get the event bus. But what's the difference between these two buses? Do they behave differently? The answer is no. A bus is nothing more than a set of middleware. If you have two bus objects that have the same middleware, well, then those message buses effectively are identical. So other than the fact that, so far, we've only added our audit middleware to the first bus, these buses will work and act identically. That's why, even though I've created one service to handle commands and another service to handle events, we really could send all our commands and events to just one service. Next, let's create an event, learn what it looks like, why we might use them, and how they're different than commands.